please give a warm welcome for Mr. Will Durst.
Mr. Nick Nichols, how about a hand? And thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Sorry about the stairs. Hey, for my crowd, that's a commitment. And I appreciate it. Welcome to BoomeRaging, from LSD to OMG. My name is Will Durst. Let me explain what's going on. I'm a comic. I've been a comic for a while. The problem is I'm getting a little too old for the comedy clubs. The average age of a comedy club is 18 to 35, which was great when I was 18 to 35. But now, I swear to God, I go in and the kids just stare at me like, why is this bitter old man lecturing me? So I decided that I love theaters. I mean, I love this kind of an atmosphere. Look at you guys are facing forward, sitting semi-erect, and you're listening to the words, and you are my target demographic. People who read or know someone who does. It's not that restrictive. And in 2008, I did a show in New York at the end of the Bush administration. It was called the All-American Sport of Bipartisan Bashing. And then I did a show in 2012 in San Francisco called Elect to Laugh. And it was all about the 2012 presidential campaign. And I don't know if you remember, but oh my living God, it was wonderful. It was lush and rich and thick like a tropical rainforest. It was fecund. It was. I mean, and so I started out on Super Tuesday in February, and it was about 70 minutes long, and by election night, it was 2 hours long. Yeah, and then the next day, it evaporated. Nobody gave a rat's ass anymore about Rick Santorum or Rick Perry or Rick Gingrich or any other Ricks or Dicks that were running. So, I mean, I'm going to write another show for 2016, a political show. And the clown car, the doors are opening up, they're piling out. They'll be but I'm not like Jon Stewart or the guy on HBO. I mean, they're wonderful. You look at the end of the show, though. I mean, there's, under writers, there's like 15 names working 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. They're the Walmarts of political comedy. I'm a small boutique in Soho, hand stitching every joke. So it's going to take me a while. But next year, but I knew I needed to be in front of a crowd, livelihood, making some money. So I wrote this show about being a baby boomer, because I figured, well, I'll always be a baby boomer. And I'm gonna let you in on my little secret agenda here. My theory is, with this show, if I get the right crowd, I can do the same show over and over, and it will always seem fresh to them. So welcome to BoomeRaging. I'm a baby boomer. Looks like a couple of you are baby boomers. So you know what that means: sex and drugs and rock and roll, and now naps. And that's what this show is about. It's a celebration of the maturation of the Boomer Nation. It's what happens when acid flashbacks meet dementia. And that was almost the title of the show. And just to give you an idea of what to expect, I'm going to show you a couple of other titles that didn't quite make the cut. But first, let me explain that if you guys are interested, I'm selling some CDs. After the show, I got a CD of Elect to Laugh, and I get some earlier CDs, and they're $15. And that's about it. I'm going to go to the overhead projector now. This is a warning. This is why we try to discourage young people from attending. We have found the use of this archaic technology can sometimes disorient them. For my crowd, not so much. And you remember these things. I love these things. They're warm, they're illuminating, the soft, reassuring hum of the fan. And of course, Mr. Schwiderski in 5th grade would always get the cells inside out and upside down. Hey, what are the interesting? 3M stopped making these things last year. I know, perhaps too apt an analogy. You're gonna feel sorry for the kids. All the experiences they'll never get to enjoy. They'll never know the satisfaction of slamming down a phone in frustration. Oh yeah? Well, screw you! Bam! Because I'm sorry, man, but dink. There's no catharsis there. Boom. Remember wrapping yourself in that 30-foot phone cord and hiding in the pantry so not everybody can hear every word of your conversation? Thank you very much. The taste of green stamps, mercurochrome, whiteout, sitting outside of a photomat, throwing away pictures of your thumb, trying to stop right on the hose that rang the bell when you pulled into a gas station. Ding, 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 ding. Attempting to win radio ticket giveaway on a rotary phone by being the 16th caller. How rewinding a cassette tape with a pencil was an acquired skill. Be kind, rewind. You don't hear that much anymore. And of course, there was the incredibly advanced technology that was attendant to the overhead projector. And of course, I'm talking about the piece of cardboard for the slow reveal. Can everybody see that? Because that's what Mr. Schwiderski would always say. And then he'd always mix up the cells because they're so slippery. And, that's why I learned that the War of the Roses happened somewhere between Korea and Vietnam. These titles didn't make the cut. Number 1, where's my jetpack? Because Walt Disney promised me a jetpack, man. 2015, are you kidding? I should be zooming around the colonies of the moon, playing 3D pool in zero gravity, chugging Tang screwdrivers right now. Out of a vacuum sippy cup. Bitching all the way to the grave. Yeah, that didn't make it. Oh, sorry, a little gas. The psychedelic colonoscopy. That was a favorite until we saw a mock-up of the poster. Embracing Decrepitude. Yeah, this was the original title. It's still the folder that all the files on the computer, it's still called Embracing Decrepitude, because it's my favorite. But everybody I talked to said, no, too depressing. Peace, love, and reverse mortgages. Hey, you punks, get off my wireless router. That joke kills down here. The 408 loves it, man. It died in Half Moon Bay. They had no idea. No idea what I was talking about. Growing old is mandatory, growing up optional. Racing from the shadow of a mushroom cloud. We'll get to that one. Harold and Maude from the opposite perspective. Yeah, this is from Ruth Gordon's point of view. Not Bud Cort anymore, sorry. BoomeRaging. Because boomerang, yeah. Just me, apparently. From the summer of love to the winter of our incontinence. Because it's a theatrical enterprise, and you got Dickie 3 going on here, And finally, hope I die before I... Oops. Too late. This is... thank you. You should know where I'm coming from on this. I don't pretend to be an everyday guy, It's just that I turned 63. 63 in March. How did this happen? Geez, yesterday I was a teenage mountain goat scampering around the country. I brought fire down from heaven, for Christ's sake. And now I'm an old dog curled on a braided rug in front of the dying embers. There's a 6 on the left of the 2-digit number that represents my age of 6. Jesus, it used to be littered with 2s and 3s. And now it's 6. And in only 6 years and 10 months, it'll be a 7. And then, I don't even want to know. La 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 la. But as we've heard our entire lives, it sure beats the alternative. Now, we know a lot of people didn't make the alternative. That old adage, the good die young, which explains why we're still here. I always wanted to be a comic. My ma says, when I was 6 years old, I asked her where I could go to school to become a stand-up comedian. And that's why I went to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. But I had to leave because comedy is illegal in Milwaukee. Through a bizarre licensing law. That's actually true. Because when they wrote the municipal codes for entertainment, comics were MCs for strippers. So they wrote them under the same license. To this day, you want to charge money for a stand-up comedy show, you got to buy an exotic dancing license. And I moved to San Francisco with the mistaken impression that parking spots were available. Because Carl Malden would pull right over into a legal spot every day, every episode. Jesus. And I've been very lucky. I love San Francisco. I do. It's the food, the view, the climate, not just the meteorological climate, but the political climate, because you can be anybody in San Francisco. They will tolerate anything. The one thing they refuse to tolerate is intolerance. That they cannot abide. They hate the judgmental. Kill them. But in San Francisco, you can be a red-bearded Lithuanian vegan dwarf in the golden showers. Come on down, the water's fine. We get a street festival for that. It's true, in San Francisco, we have militant vegans who will punch you right in the face. Doesn't hurt, but still. It's not a city. San Francisco is a pageant. It's a 49-square-mile circus in search of a tent, where Halloween is redundant. But I've been very lucky, man. Since April of '81, I've been able to earn my living telling jokes to drunks in bars. This company accepted. And feel free to drink. Trust me, the more you drink, the funnier I get. And I'm not even the funniest person in my marriage. My wife is much funnier than I am. We don't have kids. We are kids. It wouldn't be fair. You know that phrase, adults produce children, but children produce adults. Well, we were never willing to take the risk. Because we get paid not to grow up. That's our gig, and that's what this show is about. What happens when Peter Pan goes gray? When it's checkout time at the Neverland Hotel. And if you stay with me to the very end, as an extra added special treat, the meaning of life. You're gonna get your money's worth here tonight. It's not that I feel old. Let me explain that. I don't. It's just that this is the oldest I've ever been. And I'm beginning to detect a pattern. And I know there's a reset switch, like in an iPad where you straighten the paper clip and you hit that recessed button and it restores original settings. I just don't know what it is for me. I don't know if it's a 1967 Jaguar XKE 2+2 V12 I saw in a magazine, or the 38-year-old blonde with daddy issues I saw in another magazine. But there's no way I could afford either one of them. And Debbie would certainly have a word or two to say about the car. And I know, it's different today. We're not an agrarian society anymore. I'm not old today. 78 is the new 33 and a third. I'm not old compared to igneous rock formations or Mesopotamian pottery or the light coming from Alpha Centauri, but in terms of trying to get a gig in my chosen craft in show business, forget it, man. I'm not just old, I'm pre-dead. I'm deceased while ambulatory. And I mean, right here in Silicon Valley, I mean, you guys know, 30, you're ancient. Yeah, 30. And we baby boomers, we're the architects of the youth culture. We are the original Pepsi generation that had a minor fling with Coke. We invented young people, for Christ's sake, and now we're being pummeled by them. It's a classic example of hoist on your own petard. We built the gallows from which we hang. We sprayed our pot with paraquat. Like that movie. 1968 cult classic called Wild in the Streets. It's about the youth rebellion. Christopher Jones plays Max Frost, who was a rock and roll star in the movie. Max Frost and the Troopers. They actually had a top 20 hit in the real world with a remake of a song called Shape of Things to Come. It's pretty cool. But in the movie, he gets elected president on the slogan, "Don't trust anybody over 30." And he gets elected, and his first executive order is to round everybody over the age of 30 up and put them in retirement camps. And it's hysterical because they're 30 and they got walkers and shawls and they're like this. And he thinks he's got it made. In the final scene of the movie, this little kid comes out and says, "Don't trust anybody over 14. Heavy, man. Heavy. And I'm dead solid center baby boomers. I think there's three levels of baby boomers. There's Elvis boomers, there's Beatles boomers, and Brady Bunch boomers. And I'm a Beatles boomer. I remember in 5th grade, Mr. Schwiderski was congratulating, he was social studies teacher, 5th grade. He was congratulating all us kids because we were gonna live to see the turn of the century. And I'm doing the math, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I'll be 47 years old. I won't be able to enjoy it. I'll be in bed by 9 o'clock. That's not just old, that's great-grandfather old. That's wooden teeth old. That's watching an entire episode of Lawrence Welk to the very end on purpose old. I'd be a coot, a codger, a coffin dodger, a geezer, fogey, fossil, feeble, frail, spoiled runt. Pretty much what you see before you today. A balding, wrinkled, gray hair, middle-aged, pot-bellied man. Middle-aged, yeah, middle-aged. Yeah, middle-aged, my ass. Nice fantasy, Tolkien. Middle age only works if this equation proves true. I'm 63 right now. If I'm middle-aged, I gotta live to be 126. And that's frightening on like 6 other levels. I'll tell you what I do is once a week I find myself repeating the boomer mantra. And I don't set out to do it, it comes up in conversation. I'm sure you know the boomer mantra. I am not as old as my parents were when they were my age. I'm sure you've said it. If not, let's all do it together, shall we? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I am not as old as my parents were when they were my age. Feels better, doesn't it? And you know what? It's true, too. Although I'm pretty sure it was true for our parents. They probably said the same thing. I mean, we've all seen the pictures of our grandparents, those sepia-toned daguerreotypes. They look, what's a polite word? Weathered. You see it in all those movies in the 30s, supposedly set in high school, and all the guys look like they're 45. Hezekiah, which saucy lass is out taking us to the prom on the fortnight? You want to know how old I am? This is how old I am. I get offered senior citizen discounts, and I reach for my wallet to produce my ID, and the cashier go, "No, This is how old I am. I will leave a comedy gig with free drink tickets still in my pocket. This is a free beer, and I have no idea what venue it's from. In Wisconsin, this is a misdemeanor. When shopping at Costco, before committing to a purchase, I'm forced to factor in life expectancy. Honey, you really think we'll finish this 55-gallon drum of tuna fish? Gives a whole new meaning to lifetime supply. This could be a lifetime supply of coffee. I'm older than the President of the United States of America and this year's recipient of the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award. I no longer know where the nearest 24-hour restaurant to my house is, but I have memorized the precise location of every public restroom within a 2-mile radius. This is how old I am. My car insurance keeps going down. I've had an AARP card for 13 years. They find you day one of your 50th birthday. I don't care where you are, man. I'm convinced that's how we tracked down Bin Laden. Because he turned 50 in Abbottabad. And I'm pretty sure the AARP found him. And SEAL Team 6 just followed them in. This is how old I am. I had a corporate gig last June, almost a year ago, in Reno. Well, John Esquaga's Nugget on a Saturday night. So Sunday morning, it went fine. Sunday morning, I'm coming back down the hill. I live in San Francisco, the Sunset District, where you can never see the goddamn sunset. And so I'm listening to the Giants game. They're playing on the East Coast. Game starts at 10 Pacific time, done by 12:30. So KBR switches to coverage of the U.S. Open golf tournament as one of the 4 majors. You know, final round, kind of exciting. So I listen all the way from Sacramento to the Bay Bridge. When it hits me what I'm doing, I'm listening to golf on the radio. That's how old I am. I'm listening to golf on the radio. I got like 2 weeks before my pants are up past my nipples. I'm wearing a hat and a bolo tie, driving the early bird dinner, doing 30 in the fast lane with my left blinker stuck up. One thing we boomers have, a solace that we can cling to, is we are not in this alone. We have each other. And our numbers are vast. The demographers, the population scientists, call us the pig and the snake because that's what the population growth rate looks like. I can prove it. Let's go to the overhead projector. And for you kids, this is known as the interactive portion of the show. 1936, height of the Great Depression, nobody's having kids. Nobody, 38, 40, and then 41, all the soldiers go off to war. Soldiers start coming back at 45. Whoa, soldiers been away a long time. Whoa, soldiers horny. Whoa. 1965, soldiers tired. That's what it looks like. Now, why a pig? Why a snake? I don't know. Right? Why not a peach pit and a soda straw? Why not a soccer ball and a pantyhose? Why not a pregnant supermodel? All I do know is that this year in Japan, they will sell more adult diapers than baby diapers for the first time. And not because of a large sumo fertilization program that I'm aware of. We are legion. Attention must be paid. Now, who are the baby? Well, baby boomers, if you listen to the population scientists, anybody born between 46 and 64. If you talk to our parents, the greatest generation were soft, nothing but bums, no good nicks, dirty, filthy, stinking, commie, pinko, yellow rat bastards who never call. If you ask the next generation, Generation X, and they're anybody born between 1965 and 1983, we baby boomers are greedy, self-centered, arrogant hypocrites who mortgage their future and their children's future and their children's children's future to indulge in a never-ending lifestyle of non-stop hedonistic pleasure. To which we respond, yeah. And what's your point, angry young dude? Now, if you ask the generation after them, originally they were called Generation Y, but they didn't want to be an addendum, so they demanded their own name. Now we call them the Millennials, and they're anybody born between 1984 and 2002. But they haven't really gotten around to forming an opinion about the baby boomers yet, but they promise that as soon as they pay off their college loan and move out of the house, they're going to get right on it. What is it with the kids? And the living at home? We couldn't wait to get out. Of course, our parents were our parents. Our parents weren't our friends. Now, you ask the baby boomers who the baby boomers are. Well, we're an entire generation with the soul of a poet and the brave beating heart of a mighty lion, engaged in the never-ending struggle to defend truth, justice, and the American way. Don't you get it, man? We were on a mission from God, man. You don't know because you were there, man. Jupiter was aligned with Mars, man. We were fighting the man, man. And now we are the man. But for those 8 years, between 64 and 72, actually 66 and 74, it was almost 9 years. Everything you did was political. Everything you did. We were forged in a crucible called Vietnam. When you woke up in the morning, your haircut was political, told people who you were. Your blue jeans were political. The songs you listened to, the music, the movies, home, church, school, everything was, and not just social studies, math class was political. The Viet Cong, 45 prisoners, 7 died of dysentery, 11 escaped, how many left be used as propaganda tools by Jane Fonda. But we greedy, self-centered, arrogant hypocrites, we did manage to use our demographic bulge to lean on the lever that moved the world. And shit changed, man. Gay rights, civil rights, the environment, the feminist movement. Perhaps you've heard of them? Think about how, now obviously not everything is sunshine, seashells, and mylar balloons. There'll always be prejudice, stupidity, and fear as long as Mitch McConnell represents Kentucky. But in 6 years, the last 6 years, think about how gay marriage has turned around. It's gained approval by 15 points. Why? Because all those old people who were dead set against gay marriage, now they're just dead. And the kids don't care. The kids don't see any difference between black or white or gay or straight. The kids are focused on the important stuff, like who's gonna pop for the $400 bottle of Grey Goose in the VIP section at the club. It's good to see priorities screwed on straight. I never understood, and obviously I'm on one of the, tertiary tangents of show business, and I live in San Francisco. I've been around gay guys all my life and gay gals. I never understood the antipathy. How does, who cares? Who gives a rat's ass? How does two people's happiness make me miserable? Well, I don't think someone should marry someone of the same sex. Well, then don't. Problem solved. Let's move on. What a shame. Wait, you don't understand. My religion doesn't believe that anybody should. Yeah, but they don't belong to your religion. They belong to another religion, entirely altogether different. One that involves honey and mustard and lemon, and you wouldn't like it. Threads of saffron. Guys, You don't want the tables turned. Nobody wants the tables turned. You don't want another religion telling you that your wife has to walk 5 paces behind you dressed as a grieving beekeeper, now do you? Guys, can you imagine losing your wife in a Saudi Arabian mall? No wonder they don't let him drive. The driver's license photo would be like this. And you look at how gay marriage, I mean, around the world, it's becoming territorial, you know? The Muslim countries, probably not, but Uruguay voted in gay marriage. Brazil? France voted in gay marriage. Of course, in France, there were protests, but you got to chalk mostly up to the Catholic Church, because, you know, the Catholic Church cannot abide any union that isn't simply a man and his altar boy. But the Catholic Church, you know, protesting, France, you know, where anything having to do with love, it's like ingrained. They have a whole category of kissing named after them. The French, you know, one of the better categories of kissing. It's so counterintuitive. It's like Germany telling everybody to lighten up. Or the Irish demanding shorter drinking hours. The Italians marching in unison. North Korea releasing a Michelin guide. Canada instigating anything. Name one thing. And don't tell me hockey. Canadian bacon is neither Canadian nor bacon. It's ham. We call it ham. It's going to happen to America, though. You know, not the Canadian bacon, no, but you know, it's going to get territorial. You know, Mississippi, gay marriage, not a match. The board goes back. Northern California, you kidding me, man? In 5 years, it'll move beyond commonplace and become mandatory. And I got dibs on Clooney. Or Rachel Maddow, but I'm not sure how that works. That's above my pay grade, actually. Something else that we boomers had, that they don't have anymore. They don't understand anymore. We had politicians who could get shit done. They could compromise, and they thought of the better of the country instead of their own personal. And we had 2 politicians who cast a shadow over our entire lives up till this day. And I'm talking Nixon and Kennedy. And everybody since has been a pale imitation or a meager reflection. I can prove it. Let's go to the overhead projector. Now first, a pop quiz. What was the first year of the baby boomers? 46, that is correct. You all get a gold star. And this, can everybody say this? This is 1946, the freshman class that came in the next year of 47, and that's Richard Nixon, and that's John F. Kennedy. 1946, November, they were elected to Congress for the first time. And in 48, of course, Dewey defeated Truman, or something like that. And then in 52, General Dwight David Eisenhower was so popular, being the war hero, that both the Democrats and the Republicans wanted him on top of their ticket, and he chose the Republicans because of his friends at the Augusta National Golf Course. And he chose as his running mate the newly elected senator from the state of California, Richard Nixon, who was forced to go on television in September of 52 to explain that, yes, he had accepted a gift from a constituent. It was a dog named Checkers, and he was not giving it back. They won, and in 1956, 4 more years. And then 1960, the clash of the titans. Richard Nixon versus John Kennedy. And the winner from the state of Massachusetts, weighing in at 175 pounds with the help of a friend from Chicago, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And they hated him. They immediately intimated he had an affair with Marilyn Monroe, and I can't tell you how much that lowered him in my esteem. That on November 22nd, 1963, he was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, and his vice president, Lyndon Baines Johnson, also from Texas, but that was just a coincidence. Then, in 1964, JFK's VP, LBJ, took a TWA out of BWI to talk to the CIA about the KGB. No, I'm kidding. He won his election bid by beating Barry Morris Goldwater, who was just like Nixon, only more so. Then in 1968, Richard Milhouse Nixon became the 37th president of these here United States by beating Hubert Horatio Humphrey, who was only the nominee because JFK's brother, Robert Kennedy, was unavailable. Then in 1972, Richard Nixon won re-election by beating the team of McGovern-Shriver, who was JFK's brother-in-law. Then in 1973, Richard Nixon's vice president, Spiro Agnew, was forced to resign. And for you kids, no, that's not Spiro Agnew. I just love that picture. Spiro Agnew was forced to resign after the feds found a brown paper bag full of cash in his Baltimore, Maryland wall office safe, and Richard Nixon appointed as his successor the very graceful Gerald Rudolph Ford. Then in 1974, Richard Nixon resigned, and the guy that Nixon appointed, Gerald Ford, became president. Then in 1976, the guy that Nixon appointed to the presidency lost his election bid to James Earl Carter, who was like a Southern JFK without the back problems because he had no spine. Then, although the picture of health, in 1980, the Southern JFK, without the back problems because he had no spine, lost his re-election bid to Ronald Wilson Reagan, he's the one on the right, who thought he was playing Nixon in a movie. Then in 1984, the guy who thought he was playing Nixon in a movie won re-election, one of the closest electoral contests in American history. And that's not actually a state, that's the District of Columbia. Then in 1988, George Herbert Walker Bush, the guy who thought he was playing Nixon in a movie's carbon copy, he won his election bid against Michael S. Dukakis, who was like a Greek JFK from Massachusetts with questionable headgear choice. And for you kids, a carbon copy was a piece of inky paper that we put between two sheets of white paper. Then he typed once and he got two impressions. It was primitive and messy, but like us, effective. As a matter of fact, when you email somebody and it says CC, that stands for carbon copy. And for you really young kids, an email is like a long, boring tweet. I know, right? Then, in 1992, George Herbert Walker Bush, the guy who thought he was playing Nixon in the movie's Carbon Copy, lost his re-election bid to William Jefferson Clinton, who was like a Southern JFK with part of his spine and all of his libido. Then in 1996, the Southern JFK with part of his spine and all of his libido bloated up like a poisoned toad. No! He won re-election by beating Robert Dole, who was Nixon's palace guard dog. Okay, it's the only stretch, but it's true. Then, in the year 2000, George W. Bush, the guy who thought he was playing Nixon in a movie's carbon copy's son, was appointed to the presidency by the Supreme Court. And Al Gore won an Oscar for his convincing portrayal of a deeply conflicted candidate who cannot let go of the past. Then in the year 2004, the guy who thought he was playing Nixon in a movie's carbon copy's son won re-election by beating John Forbes Kerry, who was only nominated because he was from Massachusetts and his initials were JFK. Then in the year 2008, Barack Hussein Obama, an African-American JFK with part of his spine and absolutely no libido, he beat Sarah Palin and some other guy. And in 2012, the African-American JFK with part of his spine, which seemed to deteriorate over the first term, and absolutely no libido, won re-election by beating Willard Mitt Romney, who had no idea who Nixon was. Even though his father was Nixon's HUD secretary. And in the year 2016, it may very well come down to Jeb Bush, the guy who thought he was playing Nixon in a movie's carbon copy's other son, versus Hillary Clinton, the wife of the Southern JFK with part of his spine and all of his libido, and that's her on the right. And to prove she's qualified, here's a picture of her golfing. Although most of us comedians hope that somehow Michelle Bachmann gets back involved. Now, let's say you're running for president of the United States of America, and you go to the Minnesota State Fair, and to prove to the press that you're just Joe Sixpack, you can allow them to photograph you eating a corn dog. Wouldn't you choose not the footlong? And the irony is today, Nixon couldn't even win a primary on the Democratic ticket, and JFK would have gone the way of Gary Hart. Who? Exactly. And that's me with the 5 presidents. And you can tell it's me because I'm the only one wearing white shoes. In college, I studied journalism and theater and film and broadcasting. But I think what I majored in was rationalization. Because those are the skills that stay with me today. You know, I look into the mirror and go, why, those aren't bags, those are certificates of authenticity. But this happened last year. I'm downtown shopping, and I glance at a store window and I see the reflection of this old fart, and I think to myself, hey, big grandpa there smells like Old Spice. But then I worry that instead of thinking it, I might have said it aloud, because that's happened a couple of times. So I look up, and sure enough, the son of a bitch is staring right at me, only now he's mimicking my movements. Oh, the old fart is me, and I do smell like Old Spice. So that's when I kind of gave up on, dashing and concentrate on avuncular. Like my dad. I always looked like my dad. Maybe an inch shorter, 15 pounds heavier, but now I'm starting to sound like my dad, which is a whole different kettle of fish. A phrase I never really understood. But I'm making those noises that frighten small children, The 4-part symphony of grunts and groans that accompany getting out of any chair or car. Jesus. jingling of change in my pants pocket to mask the scratching of my balls. I heard this noise my entire life. I had no idea what it was. Till like 5 years ago. And then I went, Jesus, Dad! All those years in front of the kids? But the worst are the words coming out of your mouth. Words that you swore up and down would never pass your lips. You'd rather nail your tongue to the railing of a bathroom than hear it, and no one means for it to happen. You're just hanging out with other old people, you know, shooting the shit. Another phrase I never really... Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, typical old people stuff like who died, the entire catalog of body parts that no longer function as originally installed. Something that I remember my grandma referring to with her friends as the organ recital. Why they killed Matthew on Downton Abbey. You know, just typical old people stuff. Seriously? Hashtag spoiler alert. And then someone starts the ball roll, and you know, well, here's the deal. I'm cutting across Golden Gate Park, right? So I'm going down 9th Avenue. Right there, I'm crossing Irving Street, and I got the green light. First intersection, fine. The first crosswalk, totally clear. Second, on the far crosswalk, there's this kid just walking really with his sissy Hankshaw thumbs on some device, not paying any attention. So I just tapped the horn, you know, to encourage a modicum of alacrity, and he stops, and he turns, and he gives me the finger. So I nudged him with my bumper, just a little, you know. More of a love tap, really. He wasn't expecting that, I can tell you, but these kids today, they're so entitled, they have no idea how easy they, back in our day, no. Bottled water, what is it with the kids in the bottled water, huh? They on drugs? Why are they so thirsty? We wanted to hydrate, what do? We drank right out of the hose. We were happy to do it, huh? Seatbelts? We didn't have seatbelts. You know what we had? We had the arm. Detroit says you have to replicate the tensile strength of your mother's arm. Sunblock. Can't let the kids out without sunblock. We didn't have, you know what they used on us? Baby oil. We weren't protected, we were basted. There was some contingency plan going on there. Bicycle helmets. We didn't have bicycle helmets. That's how we strengthened the gene pool, for Christ's sake. Very few kids with inner ear disorders went on to procreate. I can tell you that much right now. Caller ID, check the caller ID. We didn't know. Back in our phone rang, you picked it up. Could have been anybody. Your mother, the draft board, the VD clinic. You didn't know. Every ring was an invitation to adventure. We lived in a perpetual state of emotional roulette. You know how many TV channels we had? 4. Now, if you wanted to watch a show, you better be home in time because it aired once. It was never seen again. And if there was a particular program you really wanted to see, you'd be home 5 minutes early because that's how long it took the TV to warm up. And for us kids, watching television was an active participation sport because we were drafted as assistant antennas. Your responsibility, should you choose to accept it, Mr. Phelps, was to stand next to the television clutching this complicated tinfoil coat hanger structure while your father barked out the choreography. A little higher. Left. Left. No, my left. Right there, don't move. Don't let go. I spent that entire Man from U.N.C.L.E. episode like this. And we weren't just the antenna, we were also the remote. Because when our parents wanted to change the channel, notice I say parents wanted to change the channel, because if you wanted to change the channel, tough titty. Another phrase, I never... But if our parents wanted to change the channel, Billy, change the channel 12. You had to get up off the couch, slalom around the coffee table, trudge up to the television, registering how odious you considered the task. Grab the needle nose pliers on top of the TV. Because we always stripped the knob going from 2 to 12 like that. You could have gone 13 UHF 2, but that was too easy. I'm right-handed. There was the other knob below that for UHF, but we never watched any of those shows because they were all filmed in a blizzard. And then you had to put the needle nose pliers, you were required to place it right on the dedicated doily because your mother lived in deathly fear that someone was going to scratch the plastic imitation wood grit laminate finish. I just pledged that Magnavox. And if you wanted to watch cartoons, no problem. Get up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. And if you wanted to watch TV after midnight, tough titty too. Because TV shut down, man. Whole thing, 11:45. And you go on this hunt just trying to find something. At this point, you didn't care. You just needed a cathode ray fix, you know, searching for anything. Educational television might have a documentary on Soviet Georgia hydroponic sugar beet farming, and oh, this is interesting. And then, boo, we have come to the end of our broadcast day. And they play the national anthem, and these jets would shoot past. Then they cut to a test pattern with an Indian on it. And I think this whole back in our day shit, I think it's imprinted on our DNA. I'm pretty sure the Neanderthals were taunted by the cavemen. Wheel? Wheel? No one carved us a wheel to play with. You guys are lucky. You know what we got to play with? Rodent skulls and clumps of dirt. We were happy to have them. 3,000 years ago. You kids, you gotta write everything down. Write everything down. Oh, I gotta write that down. You know what we did? We remembered stuff. Even our parents, man. They laid it on pretty thick. School buses. We didn't have school buses. When we went to school, we walked 3 miles barefoot through the snow over broken glass, uphill both ways in the dark, with poisonous bats pecking at our eyes. Well, I wouldn't have gone. I look at you guys up here, man. You got the support group. You get a community. I live in San Francisco. The hella bitchin' Hipsterville City Central, the home of $4 toast and $6 cups of coffee. That's $10 for breakfast, and I don't have any eggs, for Christ's sake. And I'm invisible, man. In San Francisco, not just the opposite sex. That happened 20 years ago. I'm talking anybody under the age of 28. You try telling a joke to a barista, which is a clerk in a coffee shop, okay? But they have no idea what this interchange is supposed to be about. You know, this was not covered in employee orientation. To their point of view, the furniture just waddled over and initiated a conversation. Dios mío. And I don't want to be the aging hipster. You know, nothing sadder than the gray ponytail in the front row of the Katy Perry concert. But I totally get the thing with the tattoos and the piercings, because every generation's gonna plant its visual flag of ID so that they can recognize each other, you know. And boomers, we had the long hair and the blue jeans. The thing is, you can always cut your hair. You can change your pants. But a tattoo, that's a permanent decision often made under questionable states of sobriety. And those are not always known for their sagacity or longevity. And boomers, you know, we dabbled in tattoos. We had the cute little ankle heart and the rose and the small of the back and the Chinese character representing peace, ostensibly. That's what they told us. Nobody read Cantonese. You know, for all we know, it said, "Eat shit, round-eyed." You know. No, it says peace. No, that's what the guy said. I know they snicker when I swim at the Chinatown Y, but I'm pretty sure it's No tattoos for me, man. I made so many fashion faux pas when I was in my early 20s. Thank God I never committed to a pattern or an image. For the rest, I don't trust people who put stickers on their laptops. But you go into a coffee shop south of Market, any time of day, there are tattoos everywhere. It's like a convention of carnies. I'm surprised when I see teeth. You know who you gotta feel sorry for? Ex-cons. How are they supposed to keep up? Society hates me. Dude, you got a scimitar with 666 in the middle of your forehead. Because tastes change. They do. In 20 years, do you see yourselves explaining to the Executive Vice President of Human Resources why there's a laughing skull on fire, popping a wheelie on a motorcycle made out of naked women crawling up your neck? What, this? Yeah, that's a funny story, actually. Taste change, Bachman Turner Overdrive. 1910 Fruit Gum Company. It's not just the tastes that change, the canvas does as well. Boomers, fellow boomers, it's our responsibility to hip the kids to the fact that those intricate etchings are destined to someday be hit with a Salvador Dali melting bomb. That cute little butterfly is gonna morph into a pterodactyl. A unicorn prancing on a rainbow is now a rhinoceros entombed in a striated bog. Mermaids frolicking in front of Diamond Head are now a pod of crazed manatees caught in the slipstream of the Death Star. All the sweet cream icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it because it took so long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again. Oh no. And memorializing a lover's name? Seriously? Dude, where you stop? I mean, who here wouldn't have needed an entire sleeve just for the summer between high school and college? Keep wondering if Billy Bob Thornton has ever walked up to Brad Pitt and said, "How's my name holding up?" And forgive me for sounding like Andy Rooney, but shouldn't there be a limit on the number of piercings allowed on food servers? Just seems like a lot of extra holes and crevices for the oatmeal to lodge and crust over. That's all I'm saying. Boomers, hippies, they're so bitter. They're jealous. I know what it is. They're jealous. Because we got lucky, man. I will admit, we got lucky. It was a serendipitous synchronization. I mean, you think about 1962, where the window was wide open with the introduction of the birth control pill. In 1983, when it slammed shut at the discovery of AIDS. But in those 22 magical years, everybody on the planet got laid. Everybody, young, old, rich, poor, tall, short, black, white, green, gold, red, blue, everybody got. You don't believe me? Let's go to the overhead projector. Who got laid between 62 and 83? Everybody. The overhead projector does not lie, people. Not just good-looking people got laid. Truman Capote got laid. Ernest Borgnine got laid. To Ethel Merman, admittedly, but still. George Herbert Walker Bush got laid. And not just with Barbara either. Henry Kissinger was considered a sex symbol. Yes, he was. In 1972, during the Paris peace talks, there was a poster that they sold in head shops. There's a 2x3 black and white photo of him in a tuxedo on his way, I think, to the Washington Correspondents' Dinner, and on his arm, on the other side, Jill St. John. A year after she was a Bond girl in Diamonds Are Forever with Sean Connery, and she's in a ball gown and she's smiling, and he looks like a Teutonic troll with irritable bowel syndrome, like he just swallowed a canary. And there was a caption on the poster that said, "Power, the ultimate aphrodisiac." You know that war movie where the kid tries to talk his honey into giving it up because he might not be coming back? That was us every single day of our lives. It was our parents, God bless them, the greatest generation. You know, they went through a depression for 10 years and then a world war. And then they came back in the late 40s. There was still deprivation and rationing. It wasn't until the 50s that, things kind of settled down. And to them, bowling was an adventure. They invented the Lazy Boy recliner for a reason. They didn't even want to be bothered to bake bread anymore. They didn't care if it tasted like bread. As long as it had a bread-like shape, it was pre-sliced. Best thing since sliced bread. And then the Cold War came along. The threat of imminent nuclear annihilation. And you know what our parents' response was? Whatever. Because they were so inured to that. Us, the kids, man, we were simmering in that marinade of no tomorrow. We were racing from the shadow of a mushroom cloud. All those movies, with the nuclear radiated mutant ants and rabbits and Night of the Lepus. You ever remember that? Giant crazed bunnies running around. It was hysterical. But then the Cuban Missile Crisis, I went to 12 different schools before I graduated from high school. And the first 4 that I went to, they showed that stupid film strip, Duck and Cover. Yertle the Turtle. In case of nuclear attack, crawl under a desk. Okay? And then what? No, that's it. And don't look at the window, because the flash will blind you. Even with your eyes closed. So we didn't live for tomorrow. There was no living for tomorrow. Nobody was thinking that far in advance. Even today, I'm living for 9:13 p.m. on the 3rd Saturday of the 5th month of the 2nd decade of the 21st century. That whole thing, if I had known I'd lived this long and taken better care of myself. With us, not so much. Which is why we tried every drug under the face of the sun. Tried it more than once. Of course, our parents kind of laid the ramp for us. Our mothers smoking and drinking during pregnancy, covering our cribs in brightly colored lead paint. The mimeograph paper in 3rd grade turned us all into apprentice huffers. Take one, pass it back. Bullshit. You can have my mimeograph paper when you tear it from my cold dead fingers. Here, take this one. He sniffed all the smell off mine. Breakfast cereal, the initial gateway drug. 6:30 in the morning, they're feeding us huge bowls of sugar-frosted flakes on which we're heaping extra tablespoons of sugar. So we go to school and we are alert for about 3 hours. And man, they were innocent times, and I don't know if we found out too much, but they changed with us. I mean, I remember the cereal packages, puzzles and games. There was always a prize on the inside, and until that one asshole kid got it caught in his ear and couldn't get it out and ruined it for everybody. But have you seen the back of a cereal package today? Jesus Christ, there's a 3-panel diagram of fibers journey through your gastrointestinal system. And don't look at the back of the milk carton, because Jimmy's missing, man. No wonder the kids are depressed. That's how we're sending them off to school. Yeah, thanks. And here we are in 2015. 2015, that's so science fiction-y. It's 14 years after 2001. I remember as a kid, cowering in fear from the approaching doom that would be Orwell's 1984, when a socialist society would spy on its own citizenry in order to keep them secure. Oh. For 2015. Oh, and they promised us all these labor-saving devices. Remember the housewife, the black and white footage of the housewife in the modern kitchen, the future kitchen, and she's wearing a dress and pearls and heels, and she feeds the bouillon cube to the wall, and then opens up and it's a roast turkey dinner with all. We didn't get any of that stuff. And I know there's more computing power in my phone than took Apollo 11 to the moon, but labor-saving devices, my ass. We pump our own gas, we print our own movie tickets. You gotta paw through your garbage, separating into 3 piles under penalty of law. You gotta strip half naked when you fly. You gotta walk a block to and from the parking meter pay station. That's why I drive. You gotta bag your own groceries, and God forbid you don't bring your own bag. You end up scurrying back to the car, clutching your food to your chest like a crazed looter. I ain't paying no goddamn dime. And now they wanted to check ourselves out. Screw you. No wonder I'm so tired. Look at all the part-time jobs I have. And the internet was supposed to make things easier. It's worse. I don't even know who I am anymore. I got 18 different usernames because I can't have Will Durst. That's already taken. By whom? You can be Will B. Durst, 389. Oh yeah, doesn't that flow trippingly off the tongue? I don't know who I am. I go to Starbucks and I won't give them my real name. I don't want them yelling out my real name, so I tried being Ace, but I couldn't keep a straight face. What's your name? Ace. Tried it once, it didn't work. So now I'm Waldo at Starbucks. That's my Starbucks name. Because not every time, but 1 out of 6 times I'll go, "Where's Waldo?" Seriously, that's why I know Facebook is doomed, because I'm on Facebook. Not just me, my aunt is on Facebook. My aunt! And she keeps poking me, and I don't think that's right. People are mean on the internet too, man. Maybe it's because they're anonymous, but it doesn't matter what you're talking. It could be the most innocuous thing. I think Gaspari's has the best pizza in San Francisco. You Obama-loving libtards are all alike. Dude, it's pizza. Then he calls you a moron and spells it wrong. The internet, empowering the ignorant since 1991. And every week, I descend another level deeper into password hell. Jesus, you need a password for everything. To look at your water bill, to rent a car, to get in and out of bed. Oh, no, wait, that's a safe word, sorry. and for future reference, mine is, ow! Ow, 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 ow. But I swear to God, once a week, I get this alert from Yahoo. We have detected suspicious activity on your account. No, you idiot! That's me! In order to access your email, you must come up with a new password. All right, it's my new password. I picked the word password. No, you can't use the word password as a password. The use of the word password as a password is weak. Red bar. Your wife's birthday, followed by her name, is weak. Red bar, red bar. Your new password must contain at least 6 characters, no more than 12, must have a capital letter, non-consecutive numerals, 2 punctuation marks, and a Polynesian petroglyph. All right, I accept that challenge. Capital E, eat shit, ampersand, die, hunting nene with a spear, 2.6. No. Why not? It's already taken. So then you're pissed. Screw you with a sharp stick, Polynesian smiley face, asterisk, numeric pi to 5 figures, and all the W's are capitalized, all the S's changed to dollar signs, but then you can't remember it long enough to reconfirm it. And you blow that twice, and then it gives you this fuzzy, distorted CAPTCHA text meant to foil spam bots. But apparently I'm a spam bot because I'm foiled. What the hell is that? A C, an R, an N? Shit. Is that an 8 or a capital B? Honey? And you blow that once and everything disappears and you gotta start all over again. Takes 20 minutes to log in. Meanwhile, some Russian teenagers hacked 1.2 billion passwords, and you just bought a container car full of toaster ovens into Crete. There's a password retrieval questions, but it doesn't work, because apparently in my household, site registration has occurred while drunk. Answers. Forget about the answers. I don't recognize the questions. What was your favorite pet as a child? Who can make that kind of judgment? I actually saw this as one of the potential questions. I didn't use it, thank God. Your least favorite relative. Once again, who can make that kind of judgment? Besides, that's a very time-sensitive question. Before Christmas, Uncle Bud. After Christmas, Cousin Bobby. Robert Durst, he was always a scamp. Your favorite non-cruciferous vegetable. I don't even know what that means. Your first daughter's middle name. I don't have any daughters. Apparently I answered this one. I went through all the machinations to have him send it to you. It's Marie. And weird stuff is dangerous in the future. Weird stuff. Other people's smiles are way too bright. People are addicted to those white strips. Jesus, man, your teeth are a color not found in nature. I mean, jet pilots are complaining you're blinding them. I need one of those eclipse boxes in order to look at you when I'm talking. 5 minutes after you go away, the after image of their smile is floating in front of me. And bathrooms, new public restrooms. You know, some stuff doesn't need to be messed with. You take your life in your own hand. Who here hasn't been startled by a presumptuous automatic flush? What was wrong with the big chrome toggle on the side? could use your foot. Seems a lot more sanitary than a series of unrequested butt douches. Hey, I'm not anti-European. I don't mind sitting on a bidet when I know I'm sitting on a bidet. I don't want surprise bidet. And it hardly seems earth-friendly. Flushes when you enter, flushes when you twitch a cheek, flushes when you get up before you can turn around and identify the fruits of your own labor. I'm no prevert. I just want to know what color it is. I still got the paper in my hand, for Christ's sake. I don't remember eating corn. I didn't use that joke this afternoon. Matinee crowd would have been alive. And some stuff doesn't need to be automatic, you know? We're conversant with the light switch, up, on, down, off. You don't need to make it a motion detector in public restrooms, because we've all been there, in the stall apparently too long. And you hear this click and everything goes dark. So you consider waiting for the next person to come in and trigger it, but then they're going to see your feet under the stall door, and that could be kind of creepy. So you start waving, but you're behind the stall door, so it doesn't. So you open the stall door, and that's when the Cub Scouts walked in. Then you stagger over to the sink. You need an engineering degree from Caltech in order to operate the faucet. Where'd they hide the electric eye on this one? Come on. Maybe it's broken. Well, it can't all be broken, for Christ's sake. You look like some psycho swatting swarms of invisible gnats. And then one of the Cub Scouts walks over, turns the handle. The automatic soap dispenser, automatic, but apparently calibrated to the movement of arthritic snails. Doesn't matter how long you hold your hand in 1 second, 10 minutes, doesn't activate till you pull your hand away. I do them all. I go up and down. I'm the Jackson Pollock of public porcelain. I'm the Banksy of Los Baños. Then it takes 3 minutes to decipher the towel dispenser. All right, what is this one? A wave, a touch, a push, a pull, a turn, a crank, a pump, a punch, a throttle, a drop kick. What do you... Oh, they're dry. And then the new turbo vertical hand dryers, powered by jet engines. Yeah, they dry your hands. They also give you irreparable hearing damage. You can see your skin rippling like a mercury capsule on re-entry. Sucking in small children for the parking lot. Daddy! But they're all upgrades compared to that 80s classic. Some of you aren't old enough to remember. The one white cotton towel on a continuous loop with a blue stripe, and you go in, replace daily. My ass. You go in, and you're like a surgeon searching for a dry spot. Oh, Jesus. It's like a bacteria farm, is what it is. You're looking. There's a virus with a hair on it. There's a Band-Aid. A Band-Aid, for Christ's sake. That's a butt swipe. You can't tell me that's not a... Who was in here? Manute Bol? But you got to keep up. Because we all know that guy. Now, there's always one guy. Computer, yeah. I don't need a computer, thank you very much. I've gotten this far without one, and I'm doing okay. You'll never catch me in one of those horseless carriages, no sir. I just got my Surrey refringed. My dad was that guy. But my dad, you kind of gave it to him because he had kind of a John Garfield existence. My dad was an orphan. He bounced between foster homes, joined the Navy at 17, shipped out to the Philippines after the war. He was discharged in LA. He tried to get into movies, got a couple of bit parts and a couple of features, wanted to pursue it, but he had to come home to clean up some affairs back in Wisconsin. Speaking of which, I showed up, and even though my dad, my dad and my mom got divorced, he was still a provider, even though he didn't have the background. He did it, man. He provided for me and my brother, Marky, and these are his second jobs. His second jobs that he would do on weekends or before his real shift. He parked cars at Muskego Beach, which was an amusement park like Playland, and then he washed windows and he bartended and he drove school bus before and after his shift. His shifts, J.I. Case for about 2 years, Alice Chalmers for about 2 years, and then Kearney and Tractor for 32 and a half years, would have been 33, but they canned him 6 months before he qualified for his full pension. But he never said a word. He wouldn't talk smack about them to me, nothing, man. My dad never looked back. He was like one of those Siberian icebreakers that just kept going forward. Not smooth, not sleek, that just kept moving. If you ever saw the movie Gumball Rally, it's about a clandestine cross-country road race, very funny. And one of the first scenes, Raul Julia plays an Italian race car driver. First time you see him, he jumps into the front seat of a convertible and he rips off the rearview mirror and throws it away. And the navigator is aghast. What'd you do that for? And he said, because what is behind us is not important. That was my dad. He peaked technologically in 1957 with the shirt pocket transistor radio, which conveniently coincided with Milwaukee Braves winning the World Series that year. But after that, man, he didn't care. I would come home and talk to Debbie on a cell phone and hand it to him. Here, talk to your daughter-in-law. And he would look at it like it was an enchanted rock. I bought him a VCR one year. 1993, this was, everybody had one. By that time, they were interested, they wanted one. My dad, my stepmom, and this was way past the early adopter status. This was a side loader, wasn't a top loader. Way after the fabled format wars of the late 80s, when entirely families were torn asunder in the epic struggle between Beta and VHS. Some of you remember those dark days. Tough choices had to be made. Entire seasons of Miami Vice rendered incompatible. But they wanted one, so I sent it to him for Christmas, a Sony, a good one. I get there for his birthday in July. It's still in the box. With the big brass staples, they hadn't even opened it. So I used to work at Radio Shack, one of my 108 jobs, way, way back when they still had tube testers. Some of you guys are old enough to remember that. Yeah. But I could follow a manual, Electronics equipment with manuals, how quaint. So they had one of those TV stands with the TV in the top and the phony plant and the Reader's Digest condensed books in the bottom. So I put the VCR down there and plugged it in and hooked it up, and channel 3, one remote, we play a tape. It works, they love it. They use it. I come back for Thanksgiving. The VCR is blinking 12. And we all know what happened. Midwest, summer storm, power outage, and they never reset the clock. So I got down, I left the manual there. I got down on the floor, cross-legged, I'm looking through, I'm gonna reset the clock. My dad said, hey, what are you doing? No, leave it alone, you're gonna break it. Dad, I'm not gonna break it. I'm the one who set it up, remember? And I understand this. I'm just gonna reset the, I said, leave it alone. It's fine the way it is. Swear to God, he would not let me, because they had gotten used to it. They could play a tape whenever they wanted. They could record whatever they wanted as long as they were watching it at the time. Which is why I try to keep up. All these big-time public policy think tanks are coming up with these stories about how we boomers are going to redefine retirement. Yeah, mostly because none of us will be able to afford to retire. You know, not live here. Yeah, we can move to Sheboygan. We can buy a subdivision in Sheboygan, but then you're in Sheboygan. You know, I can imagine myself working at a Wendy's, you know, just looking at all the tennis ball footed walkers folded up against the mops and the brooms, while out front, hey lady, you want fries with that? But what I think we should do is we should spend our time coming up with new phrases. Change the terminology, you know? I'm so tired of hearing this elderly seniors winding down their golden years. Bullshit, man. We are vintage. We are classic. We're enduring. We're steadfast. We're seasoned. We're ripe. Perhaps overripe. We need to come up with a new word. We gotta find the calamari for the squid of advancing years. Chronologically gifted, and it's trite. How about extreme? Everybody loves extreme. Let's be extreme adults. Because we have a lot to give. You know, we know we can pass some of this shit on. We know not to expend a lot of energy trying to catch a hummingbird with our bare hands. We may not be able to dodge trouble as fast as we once could, but we can recognize its approach from a lot farther away. Honey, get your coat. We're out of here. Your brother opened a second bottle of Jack. So I came up with the bright sides of becoming extreme adults. Can everybody see that? Number one, you can always clean the batteries in your hearing aid are shorting out. What? Even when you're not wearing a hearing aid. The creaks in your bones keep you alert while driving. Fewer peers means less peer pressure. And it diminishes every day. Not ever gonna be the sweet young thing in prison. That's new and I laugh at it every time I see it. Who wouldn't want to have their living assisted? In hostage situations, chances are you'll be among the first released. He needs his medication. Fast-growing fingernails facilitate self-defense. Your knees are better predicting the weather than the guy on TV. It's not gonna rain. Rolling Stones now played in elevators. I heard Street Fighting Man in an elevator. Yeah, they had no idea. Pretty much any cane you carry can be set to stun. Peeing 3 times a night turns out to be a highly effective means of home security. All clear. Obamacare totally covers Alzheimer's, dude. Still doing drugs, only now there's a copay. Always wanted ear hair so long and thick you can cut cheese with it. Obamacare totally covers Alzheimer's, dude. And finally, in a pinch, those nipple rings can double as belt loops. I had a corporate gig here in San Jose about 2 years ago at the Marriott. It was a biochemistry conference. So about 350 biochemists. And it was a luncheon, so there were no spouses or anything because they were going to work afterwards. So it's just biochemists. And I'm looking around at the room and going, shit, I'm the dumbest guy in the room. Which, as you may or may not surmise, is not that uncommon a situation Usually it's not so obvious though, like tonight. And I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. That's another phrase I never really, and I don't want la la la, but the deal is they're gonna serve lunch, and then after they drop the dessert, the program will start, and the guy will go up and give the announcements, and then introduce the Man of the Year award, and then the Man of the Year gives a speech, and then the guy goes back up, introduces me, and I do 20 minutes of biochemistry jokes. So I'm sitting there with the Man of the Year, and he's fascinating. 85-year-old Nobel Prize winning chemist, still teaches at Stanford. He says he loves it, keeps him young. And he's very gracious, pretending to have an actual conversation with me. I'm pretty sure everything I said to him sounded like, I like bananas because they're gushy. But he's trying to draw me out about stand-up comedy and the science of like formulas, like how the joke goes down here, but then the punchline is actually over here and stuff. It was fascinating. He made me rethink on. But I asked him about his day, and he told me about a colleague, also 85, also taught at Stanford. I guess they came up in the biochemistry ranks together, but they were close until the guy retired the previous year. He hadn't seen him in 9 months until the morning of the conference. And I said, well, how's he doing? And he looks at me, and you can see he's trying to, decide whether or not to be candid. And he calls me in, and he looks around, and he goes, he got old. Today, May 23rd, 2015. Oh, so it's the fourth Saturday. Sorry. I was born on March 18th, 1952, 365 times 63, 22,995, plus 15 for leap years, plus 66 days since my birthday. I have trod this orb for 23,076 days. Times 1440 minutes in a day, 33,229,440 minutes. Times 60 seconds in a minute, 1,993,766,400 seconds. You are looking at a billionaire. I imagine a couple of you are as well. My ma died at the age of 72, and my dad at 85. So if I live to be her age, I got maybe 6 million minutes left. Him, I got 12 million minutes left. If I live to be 100, I got 19 million minutes left. And if I truly am middle-aged, I got 33 million minutes left. My plan is to use each and every one of them to head into the autumn of my life like Pablo Sandoval rounding third, like a runaway beer truck. I'm totally down with Dylan Thomas on this one. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Or as my good friend Michael Pritchard says, you don't stop laughing because you get old. You get old because you stop laughing. And now, as promised, the meaning of life. And Mr. Nichols, if I could get some dramatic lighting here. Perhaps not that dramatic. Thank you, sir. The meaning of life, as I say it, is pretty simple. Pretty obvious. The meaning of life is, it ends. That's it. Life ends. Because nothing to us humans is so precious, except for the stuff that we have too little of, which is the whole concept that makes money worth money. And we've heard it our entire lives from people who have gone through a near-death experience. Either they lived through a plane crash or they're cancer survivors, but they all say the same exact thing. We've heard it over and over. Everybody's heard it. They have a newfound appreciation for life. They're never going to take a single thing, a moment for granted ever again. They can see the beauty in every vein of every leaf, in every tree of every forest. So that's my gift to you tonight. Just think of this show as a near-death experience. I know I will. I have friends who are retiring, you know, they're 50, 55. I know some guys young as 45, and they're retired. But everybody I know, public, private, they're all dropping the DNR tag. You know, DNR, do not resuscitate. Yes, I refuse to end my days living like a vegetable. If you love me at all, you pull my plug. To which I say, bullshit, plug me in. I want to live as a man, as a vegetable, or refreshing side order, or a fruit salad with a light drizzle of strawberry yogurt sauce. Are you kidding, man? I never thought I'd make it this far. 63 now. I want more. I want triple digits. I want to start a third 50. If all you got is a couple of million minutes or half of a decade, part of a week, whatever, I want extra. Because this whole existence thing, not bad. Sort of okay. Kind of grows on you. Give it an 8. Easy to dance to. I see an old lady. Takes her 3 lights across the street in her walker. I don't get annoyed. I roll down the window and yell out, you hang in there, Granny! Don't let the bastards grind you down! Because life is good. Puppies, sunsets, bacon, ice cream. Bacon, ice cream. Clean sheets. The first snowfall. The carousel bar at the Hotel Monteleone in New Orleans. Waitresses bringing me cold beer poolside in Hawaii. The walk-off home runs at AT&T Park. Bruce Springsteen's Thunder Road. Kettle Brand, salt and fresh ground pepper, crinkle cut potato chips. Anchor Steam IPA. New large print James Lee Burke Mysteries. Life is good, and I plan to hang out with the tips of my fingernails. If the only way to keep my respirator charged is by fluttering my eyelids 24 hours a day, I will flutter. Who knows what tomorrow might bring? Maybe scientists will discover the fountain of youth in the bark of a tree that grows on the banks of the Amazon River. Maybe they'll dig a gene out of one of those phosphorescent planktons at the bottom of the Marianas Trench and develop a salve that allows us to be our own nightlight. Or nightstick. Maybe they'll invent the perpetual eyelid flutterer. Who knows? What do you think they call it tomorrow? So you're willing to linger like a rutabaga? Shit, yeah! Call me Mr. Potato Head like it hasn't happened before. Isolate a webcam on my hospice bed and pay-per-view me as a human asparagus video blog. Water me from a sprinkling can and call me Shorty. Test hallucinogenic toad sweat on my tongue. No, seriously, do that. Bury me naked with my butt sticking out of the ground and use me as a bicycle rack. I don't care. I want to live. That's Will's living will. And if I do slip into a coma or become slightly more brain dead, someone please have the simple common human decency to hook me up to an IV drip of pure espresso from Pete's. Because there's a Preston Sturgis Film Festival coming up on TCM, and I don't want to miss a thing. So that's Will's living will. Don't let the VCR blink 12. Runaway beer truck. Flutter on. Thank you, San Jose, for your time. I know how precious it is.